Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday, and my apologies, I'm late. Thank you so much for being patient with me and waiting for this. As you guys join me, please let me know in the comments one, that you're able to hear me, two, where you're watching me from, and three, if everything looks okay on your end, so that I can get started in this part three series of PPO negotiations to help you win in your dental practice with making insurances work for you, not against you, and debunking some of the myths out there pertaining to participation and negotiations with your PPOs. So, today's topic is about our step by step guide that we use to help our startup dentists win with insurance participation. Again, making insurance an ally, not an adversary, as first time business owners. And my hope is that you are finding this series of lives helpful. Last week we discussed acquisitions. What is the proper way of handling acquisitions? And we shared with you some best practices as well as some case studies of how we handle this for our clients and how we're making it help many dentists out there. The week prior, we did a live regarding renegotiating your fees as an existing dental practice. What are the best practices? But today, my focus is to help share with you our step by step process that we use to make sure we help our clients uh, participate with insurance companies in a way that they're able to grow and do dentistry in their own terms. So let me test my audio. So just give me 1 second since I'm doing this live. Just want to make sure that I'm able to hear myself. Where am I supposed to hear myself? Here I am. So, am I live? Wait 1 second. Okay, I'm gonna give myself a like. Looks like I am live. Awesome. And I'm the only person watching, so that makes me feel even better. I am so bad. In any event, so what are the things that we're going to cover in today's live? The first thing that I want to share with you is the questions that typically come to me all the time in my team. How do I handle insurance participation and negotiations as a startup? And how long does the process take? So I'm going to answer that question in today's live. I also want to share with you guys the ideal step by step process that you should follow as a startup dentist to make sure that there are no blind sides for you and you're able to make that work for you. And I'm also going to share with you how to manage the patient experience and prepare your admin team for making insurance secondary to care in your practice, given that they're the new evil of our times and we must work with them. So let's jump right in and talk about what it is that we are needing to work with here. So let me just make sure that I have this here. Where is that other page? Hold on 1 second. Here we go. So our ultimate guide consists of the time that it takes for you to be able to get your process going. So if you are a dental startup, you are looking to uh, work with dental insurance company, when should you start and how long does it typically take for you to get effective dates with the insurance companies? The simple answer is the sooner you get started, the better. But there are certain things that you need to have at hand in order for you to get started with the process to avoid pitfalls or delays in the future. Number one is you need to have a signed lease. So you need to be able to have an office that is tangible with a lease under your name in order for you to get started. I've seen many instances in which the dentist, the deals falls through and the process has been started. You want to avoid this by making sure that you already have a signed lease. The other thing that you're going to need is to have your entity. And I have in certain states, like in New York and some other states, where there are entity issues where it's taking a long time, and doctors that are trying to get into practices before they do have their entity, they have to file as a sole proprietor and then go through like the IRS name change and all of that. So, how you're going to get paid, you're going to need to have a tax ID to be able to start the process of the negotiation. The process, so you should start the minute you have a signed lease and you have an entity. Now, how long does the process take? A lot of people are going to have different answers to this. But in my experience, having done this over and over and over, the process typically takes between 4 to 8 months for you to be able to get an answer and figure out whether or not you're going to be active and effective with the dental insurance companies. So, where is the discrepancy and the difference between the 4 month and or the 8 month, right? Where is the why that duplication? The reason why is because you have more than one option or alternative way of participating with dental insurance companies. You can sign a contract directly. So when you sign a contract directly, say with Delta Dental, the process for Delta Dental, once you begin the credentialing process, is going to be on or about 3 to 4 months. But if you're going to participate with an insurance company through an alternative contract, not directly, you have to go through the credentialing process with this company, and then that company is going to make the update with the plans under their umbrella. So depending on whether you're working directly or through an umbrella company, it can take 4 to 8 months. Typically, after 8 months, if you already have 4 months that you're active with a third party umbrella company and you don't have an effective date, you want to audit it and check and see why that is the case, because it is at the plan's discretion. And that's a more in-depth conversation to be had. But for today's live, I just want to tell you the pros and cons and some of the best practices in our proven process and how we're able to guarantee this turnaround of like 8 months. Our clients are able to have 95% of their insurances active to avoid having confusion with the patients. So that's typically what you should anticipate. Now let's talk about our 7-step process, or it's not our 7-step process. We've made a different version, but what is the ideal process for you to select dental insurances, determine your business model, and enroll with the companies? Contracting and credentialing are two different things. And everyone uses the term credentialing. That's when you get added to somebody else's contract as an associate. For your dental startup practice, I want you to treat it and consider it contracting. You're going to be reaching out to insurance companies. They're going to be sending you fees associated with their contracts and the programs and the networks that they use. And based on this information, you're going to determine how you want to be credentialed with those plans. So let's go over the 7-step process. The first step that I want you guys to always do for your own sake, and the reason why I'm late today for the live is because I was just finishing up with a conversation with a dentist who hasn't done anything that I am just sharing with you, and she's lost, and she's already paying rent, and needs to get started as soon as possible with this process. And she's already paying rent and has zero patients and needs to get the process going. So market research is the first step that you want to do. Market analysis is something, that demographic analysis, that you have already done to select your site, ideally. Competitor analysis. A lot of people tell me, why is this important? Because your competitors determine your fees. I see some companies advise people, oh, just use the umbrella fee schedule and make it 15% higher fees as your office private fees. But is that what my competitor is charging, that I'm trying to beat them in the marketplace and replicate and improve on what they're doing? Understanding how to position your fees is important, and your competitors, to a certain degree, help you determine what insurances to enroll for and what kind of pricing you want to set for your office private fees. Whomever you want that just join me, thank you for joining me, and let me know if you're able to hear me okay. Okay, so the fee determination, again, it's part of the process. You want to position your fees in a way that you're covering your expenses and you're staying competitive. You do not want to select a 10% increase on an insurance dictated fee schedule just because it makes it easier for you to just write it off and make it seem like you're not having such huge write-offs. It's smarter for you to get on the phone, do some cold calling, find out who your ideal competitor, what they're doing, how much they're charging, to be able to position your fees. You can get this information also from your associate positions, and based on the reimbursement, based on your business model, your the standard of care, you can position your fees this way. This is extremely important. The fourth step here is the negotiation. You have to strategically map out and figure out which insurance that shows up in the market research that is relevant to you, what kind of offers they're giving you, and what would it look like to work with them directly financially. What is it going to look like in terms of the reimbursement for an initial visit based on your average chunk of procedure codes? And those procedure codes need to add up to or be higher than your hourly overhead expense. There's a science to everything that we do in our businesses. So negotiating the fees, strategic contracting. Remember, I said earlier, the direct participation versus third party umbrella participation. What does that look like? What options do you have navigating that? The break even analysis. How many patients do you need to see in order to cover your expenses based on the compensation from the insurance companies and all of the operational costs that you're acquiring for just running this office on a month-to-month basis? You need to account for that and plan for that. And as you're receiving information from the different insurance carriers, you want to be able to incorporate and formulate all of these strategies need to be interconnected. You don't make decisions on the fly and work with a company that is not understanding of one area versus the other, because everything is interconnected. And lastly, admin training for yourself and for the team. Again, based on your business model, reimbursement, and what's relevant in the area, you're going to want to create an atmosphere in the business where insurance is secondary to care. And the best way for you to ensure that is by not outsourcing too many things prematurely and empowering yourself and your team with the knowledge to be able to maintain in-house as much as of the work that you can until revenue wise you're able to justify for you to start outsourcing. Because remember, we are seeing zero patients and we have all of these operational costs associated with it. So that's the overview of the process that I highly recommend dentists follow in order to best position and work with insurance companies in their practices. Let's talk about now why market research is important. And I took this nice little post from a message before in one of the social media groups where a dentist says, hey, quick question. My startup practice is near these big corporations and headquarters. What's the best way to get into them? Maybe I should, email employees our information or services. We tried walking in and we just got denied. Does anybody have any ideas? Well, I have an idea. How about you reach out to their HR department, some of these companies, and ask them what do you guys offer dental insurance? Do you have a neighboring dentist that you trust? What is that dental insurance that you guys offer your employees? So that as I am making decisions for my new company that is about to open, I am able to incorporate this in your insurance carrier so that I can serve you, because I'm going to be new to the community and I want to serve patients like you. So they will share this information with you and you make it part of your insurance mix. And then you figure out a way to negotiate with those insurance companies. So this is why market research is so important, because the people out there are going to want you to serve them. They're not going to say, hey, here's a list of the employees. What do you have to offer me? So that would be a way for you to be able to network with companies in the area, while at the same time be able to open the doors and expand your network and negotiate with the insurance companies in a way that makes more sense, that it's more strategic. Okay. Hopefully this is making sense. Now we're going to talk about how to map out the strategy of selecting how you're going to participate with dental insurances. Like I said before, and I forgot to put a slide here to help us illustrate a market research result for one of our clients. But in any dental office specifically, we have companies. Delta Dental is one of them that shows up in the market research. Every Walmart or Target offers it. If you go to a Lowe's, they offer Cigna. If you go to a Costco, they offer Aetna. We take the top 5 employers in the area and we just basically list what insurance they offer their employees, and we go after those insurances to strategically collect the fees. And then we map out the top 30 procedure codes, as you can see here, so that we can then, as we get the different reimbursements from the insurance companies, we can say, hey, this is what it looks like for you to work with this insurance, but this is an alternative way for you to participate. It's going to take longer, but you're going to be able to see a 43% increase by making this switch. Now, there are pros and cons associated with third party relationship versus direct relationship, which we'll get to in a little bit. But ideally, you want to have a centralized place where you're able to map all of these things out before you kick off and you start the credentialing process. So in this example or this case study, MetLife showed up in the market research, and Delta Dental were the highest companies that showed up in the market research. You see here where I wrote relevant, this is Delta Dental and the fees and so on and so forth. So you want to be able to get companies that you have negotiated fees for to network heavily with those employers and that patient population, to be able to counterbalance the overly saturated Delta Dental policies that are out there, because their fees are non-negotiable to begin with. So where you have leverage and room to negotiate and get higher reimbursement, you're going to want to prioritize somewhat or somehow to attract more of those patients to create that nice healthy balance in your practice in terms of the patient move. And I have, again, proven concept on this because I have some of my best clients be able to achieve this. The process, again, as I said before, for those of you who are concerned or interested in understanding, direct participation takes typically 4 to 6 months, and it goes through the whole process for about, I want to say, 4 to 5 phases. The first phase is market research. The second phase is the negotiations and reviewing the fees and strategically setting up your fees, determining if you want to participate directly or through an umbrella company. Phase 3, it's the credentialing, and this is from when the clock starts ticking on your effective date. So you need to time it in a way that if you're expected to sign the lease, get your permits, and construction kicks in, you want to be able to have started making some of this legwork and this foundational work and research prior to the construction getting started, so that by the time you have your lines live and your website live, you're able to start then having the directory showing your practice as a network and populating that VIP list or client list in anticipation for you to open your practice. So that is the process. And then obviously you would need to monitor and check on the effective dates and so on and so forth. So the last part of my life today that I wanted to focus on has to do with admin training. And I'm going to share with you the 80-20 rule. 80% of what happens in your office is mindset, and 20% is tools. The 80% is going to come from your ability to empower yourself as the owner and as the leader, and give your team the accountability and the autonomy for them to go out there and help you build your business. Take it from me, I was a person that had no qualifications whatsoever. I worked at a supermarket prior to starting my career as a dental assistant. And the dentist that hired me and gave me the opportunity to run his second office as a startup said to me, Maritza, this is your office. This is your baby. And so I came in with the mindset, I better make this work. I'm going to learn every day. I'm going to make mistakes, but I'm going to learn from my mistakes and get back on track. And I have goals. And every time I want to be able to go beyond my goals. And I was more than able to do that. I was able to take my office with no previous dental experience background from $0 to $2.8 million in revenue. And I also helped him open 15 offices altogether. So your front desk or the admin person that you hire, if you come in with the right mindset and you help them develop the right mindset, 80% of the time, they're going to make you a millionaire, okay? The other 20% is going to be tools in place, systems in place, how things are done in a predictable way over and over and over, so that you can have more accountability and more and less inefficiencies in the way that you do things regularly. So, things that are important are how you set up your software, best practices for using the software, what reports do you need to generate, how do you set up the software, entering the insurance's information properly. I was just having a training last week with one of my students, and they started setting up the software, and we were going over all the details. And I said, do not give me a MetLife uh, carrier, make it MetLife PDP or PDP Plus. The reason why is because, oh, you can make it MetLife and PDP, but I just want you to divide and conquer. Insurances are making massive changes daily, and they're always evolving and changing. So you want to be able uh, to discontinue the traditional way of doing things, of like calling the carrier by one name and then every plan underneath their name, it's going to be following that same name, only because you're not going to be able to generate reports accurately in the future, and it's going to make it more challenging for you to make informed decisions about separating from one network, or terminating one contract, and what patients are going to be affected by it. So all of these things, having tools for insurance verification, customizing it to the patient, to what you currently do most often, and how to structure it in a way that it's not overwhelming. Having scripts and best practices and frameworks for how to handle different tasks and situations, and centralizing everything. I have worksheets for anything and everything, templates that I use for emails, for everything that we're doing. You want to create systems around this. This is 20% of the success. Again, the 80% is your mindset, it's your attitude, it's your willingness to learn and serve your patients and serve the company and the business. And the remaining 20% is going to be the systems that you have in place. And this is what I tell my clients and I tell my students. I say, I want you to be present every time you're with a patient, and prioritize the relationship with them, and plan. This 20% shouldn't be the other way around, because offices that emphasize on the 80% of their time buried in the paperwork and buried in the admin side of things, they don't tend to thrive or profit as soon as or as fast as companies that are able to just prepare in a timely fashion. 20% of my time, I'm going to do this. This is what I need for this patient at this time. And then be present and show up with them to make sure that the experience is there to be able to justify your business model, your higher fees, your limited, insurance dependency, your DPPO status or PDP plus status, where you're selectively in the network with one of the networks through the one insurance versus both or all of them, to leverage the participation, leverage the reimbursement, and leverage the relationship on your day-to-day basis with your team to win. So this is it for today. Now let's talk a little bit about what my goal and my wish is for you. Again, as I've been saying it a week and a week over, I want you to take control of your practice and leverage PPO participation by creating strategic plans around this and having the right mindset. Now, for these tips are not relevant to this one. Next steps, if you have any questions or if you're ready to get started on your project, you can reach out to us and send us an email at contact@mdencs.com. We'll send you our welcome package, and you'll be able to see the entire timeline, frequently asked questions about what it looks like to do the insurance negotiations for a startup. Reach out to us and we'll send you that welcome package. And then if you're finding this information helpful, share it with a friend who is a startup dentist that it's new to the insurance world and wants to participate or needs to participate and needs to find a strategic partner to make sure that insurance is working for them, not against them, as first-time practice owners. And join me next week. Let's talk about what I want to focus for the month of March. Has to do with finding and selecting a smart location, how to do that, the step-by-step process of selecting a smart location where you're able to predictively know when you're going to start generating profit and be able to come back and create a a job for your team where they're willing and excited to come to work with. You're treating the right patients, and overall, it's you are a profitable and fulfilled dentist. So thank you again so much for joining me this week, and for being patient with me. If you're finding these videos on the weekly basis helpful, let me know in the comments, and I look forward to seeing you and staying in touch with you. Until next time.